In a village nestled between a whispering wood and a creek that snaked like a black ribbon, there existed an old house. Not just any house, mind you, but a place steeped in shadows and secrets. It was situated at the edge of town by Devil's Creek, a spot that even the bravest soul avoided after dark. And the reason? The house was cursed, or so the townsfolk claimed. They never spoke of that house unless they had to. Its windows were always shuttered, its garden overgrown as if in mourning, and the only sound that dared break the silence was the ceaseless murmur of Devil's Creek. Children crossing the street would quicken their pace when they passed its gate, for who knew what lurked within those darkened rooms? They'd heard the stories, seen the wild gleam in old woman Margaret's eyes, the way she always seemed to be watching them. Yes, she was rarely seen, but when she was, her smile was unsettling, and her gaze, it burned like hot coals. The villagers had long since given up trying to understand her, or the secrets she held close, tighter than the gnarled fingers that clutched a worn walking stick. The old woman had lived alone in that house longer than anyone could remember, and her isolation only deepened the mystery surrounding her. It became a forbidden chapter in the town's history, one they hoped would end with her final breath. But fate, it seems, had other plans. On the edge of town, where the wind carried the scent of pine and the distant rumble of thunder, stood the old house by Devil's Creek. And on that fateful night, the storm raged with a fury that shook the very foundations of the town. The wind, it howled like a wounded beast, whipping against the walls as if trying to tear them down. Rain lashed against the windows, blurring the world beyond into a watercolor wash. It was on this night that Emily stumbled upon the house. Her car, it had broken down just outside of town, and with the nearest garage hours away, she had no choice but to seek shelter. But she knew, as every villager did, that seeking refuge in Margaret's house was akin to playing a game of Russian roulette with one's life. Nevertheless, with the storm raging and the night growing darker, she walked towards the house by Devil's Creek, towards the old woman whose smile was said to conceal a darkness deeper than the night itself. As she reached out to knock, the door creaked open, revealing a face that seemed to have been carved from parchment, thin and lined with age. The old woman stood silhouetted against the dim lamplight, her eyes gleaming like embers in the gloom. A smile, too wide, too eager, played on her lips. "Ah, you've come at last," she croaked, her voice like the rustling of dead leaves. The air inside was thick with the smell of wet earth and something metallic, coppery. Margaret bustled about, serving tea in chipped cups. Emily tried not to stare at the jars lining the shelves, each one containing what looked like eyes floating in murky liquid. "My little souvenirs," chuckled the old woman, her yellowed nails tapping the glass. Suddenly, a sound reverberated through the house. Thud. Something heavy, metallic. From above, Emily's hand trembled. At the bottom of her cup, she saw it, a tiny finger bone. That's when she realized Margaret's pupils were gone. They were just black voids now, bottomless and hungry. "Stay for supper," the thing that wasn't Margaret crooned. "You'll join my collection." From the attic above, the door burst open, and what came down wasn't human, not anymore. All that remained was the creature's muffled whimper as it dragged itself closer, its eyes burning with a demonic hunger. Then a blood-curdling scream, abruptly cut off. Next market day, Margaret wore a new hairpin, silver with a turquoise stone. The butcher's wife fainted. She recognized it. That pin belonged to the schoolteacher, the one who'd vanished last winter solstice. A slow, knowing smile spread across Margaret's face. Word of advice: never take shelter near Devil's Creek, especially not on the 13th night. For Margaret's house has many rooms, and she hates empty spaces. And as the fire popped merrily in the hearth, and the child's giggle echoed through the halls, a single whisper cut through the revelry. "She's watching you now." It breathed, soft as a shroud, cold as a grave. "She's watching you."